Okay, ready? One, two, three. Okay, welcome back everybody to another episode of the Radar. So I'm Jasper,
And I'm Jolene.
and today we have a very special guest from one of our Raffles Halls RF. It is Block 5 Prof Darren.
Hi, hello, hi.
So Prof Darren, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hello, hi. I'm a lecturer at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. So I've been with Raffles Hall for the past 8 years. So it has been a really great experience for me. It's something that money can't buy, and I'm really very grateful to be part of this family.
Wow, for the past 8 years. So that's twice the duration of me coming to Raffles Hall. Wow, so actually that's such a very long duration. Don't you agree, Jolene?
Yeah, true, man.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just here for 3 years, and probably in another year I'm going to like graduate. So 8 years is really insane.
Honestly, I don't know how you managed to stay here for 8 years, seeing like 8 different batches of Raffles students come to pass. But maybe let's go back to the beginning a little bit. So when you first became an RF, what made you choose RH? And why an
Wow.
RF also?
Well, there are perhaps by coincidence that of having this opportunity to be close to Raffles Hall, because I'm from the Faculty of Engineering back then. So right now it's called College of Design and Engineering, and so it's closest to my office. So certainly that I would love to, to leave my house as late as possible for
So
work.
it's the
Just
typical
like-
engineering student mindset of wanting to come to RH.
Yeah.
Just work for it, man.
So it was because of that you chose RH. But why do you want to become an RF?
Well, not quite really. Mainly due to that reason, but also because that by coincidence that there's a that there's this the opening here at Raffles Hall, and they were trying to recruit an engineering faculty member here.
Oh, particularly
Yes.
engineering.
Particularly, so I
Ooh.
was the first engineering professor back then. For that group of the SARC, and back then the hall master, Prof Ho Chi Kong, he felt that most of our residents here are engineering students, and without a faculty member from engineering, it seems a bit odd, so perhaps having someone of the same background may be able to connect with them better, may be able to perhaps guide them in terms of their academic, in terms of their career paths, and hence therefore my first portfolio was actually working on career guidance, on looking at how our residents will be able to get more opportunities, and the internships outside relating to engineering. So that was part of the reason why I was being brought in. But certainly that portfolio grew, and I finally get to have more flavors of how hall life is like. Right now, being part of the the social comms portfolio, that is something that that I've loved to be part of, and I finally, this is kind of like my dream portfolio to be at.
So it's the idea of having the chance to interact with more of the residents itself on the ground through the social aspect of block events,
Yeah.
hall-wide events level. So when you talk about, let's say, back then when you first came into Raffles 8 years ago, right? How was it like when you first came in? What was your expectation of it and the reality difference,
Well, back then I thought that that I'm just a kind of perhaps like a caretaker here, just to make sure that that the residents here are well taken care of. Kind of like I'm like a mini security post at Block 5, whereby if students are being locked out, if students are facing any difficulties, and then I'll be there. But to my surprise, it was more than that. And well, when I personally, I feel that I've been alone perhaps perhaps most of my life. Alone, not being physically alone, but when I was young, I was studying. That was my objective, my goal. And when I came out to work, I was my goal is to cope with the work that was being assigned to me in my job, and that feeling of being alone, being having to face whatever challenges yourself. We're not sure whether if you can kind of feel how I felt back then, but um, yes, indeed, that there are many close ones around me, good friends, good colleagues, but more or less you are kind of yourself and alone. Um, until that, when I stepped into Raffles Hall as a resident fellow, and wow, I mean that really opens up my mind. That really opens up that that there is this family here. um, yeah, and and when I step out of my door, and I can see cheerful, happy residents around me, you know, and 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 that really brightens up my life. And being able to be involved in so many activities, being able to see so much of talents at Raffles Hall, um, I felt that I that well, that it was a new me, it was a brand new Darren, that I realized myself. Yeah, so it was beyond expectations. I'll have to say that if anybody is aware of what are the roles and the duties and what to expect as a resident fellow, that person is definitely wrong. Especially coming into Raffles Hall, you will see that it is. I mean, that we have been saying this phrase of home away from home, but this is a truth. I mean, it's wow. I mean, everyone is family. I mean, it's the feeling, the bonding is amazing.
Okay, to be very fair, like as a student here, as a resident for 4 years, right, you really get that sense of homeliness after a long time, to the point where you just don't want to leave. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to grad so badly, I don't want to study anymore. But
Same.
after that, leaving Raffles Hall, I think it's just like a part of it being left out after a while, right? It takes some time to adjust back to reality, but this is probably a place I'm sure you agree, like, you will never forget, like,
Yeah,
for a
certainly.
long time to come.
Yep. So like actually like because I heard that like you were initially scheduled to end your contract in RH last year. So maybe what you shared just now was also a reason why what makes you want to stay on longer for your term. Like until like you're still here and like
Yeah.
we are all like still having this podcast with you now. But maybe is there other reasons why you want to like stay longer for your term? RH?
Well, I would certainly love to stay as long as I can,
Wow, okay.
perhaps forever, um, uh, but I do know that every good thing has to come to an end. I've been here for 8 years. I would have never thought about being able to stay even perhaps beyond 4 years, but here I am, 8 years.
Oh, I
Wow.
thought the
And
RF contract ends in 7.
yeah, 7 years. However, our contract is renewable every 2 years, so it really depends on, on the mutual agreement, from the hall, from the university, from the resident fellow himself or herself, to decide whether if whether continuing is the best way forward. Um, I have encountered many colleagues who have stepped out of being being a resident fellow. And they cited many reasons, many, be whether work related or family related. And back then I was a bit jittery about, well, is this the right place for me? But when I came in and I realized that I have no reasons to leave, actually, to be honest. Yeah, so um, yeah, so being able to stay as long as I can, I mean, certainly is my wish list, but I also need to be cautious about that. That there are also many qualified, many passionate um, people out there who would love to be able to experience that same experience that I had, over these past many years. And I cannot be selfish. I mean, right, so
I believe self happiness, you need to be a bit selfish lah. I mean, search for your happiness, but if you're seeing how magnanimous you are,
Oh.
letting others try to experience it, but no matter what, we'll miss you lah. Yeah, I mean, when you were speaking about your time here at RH, right? You sound so passionate, so emotional.
Yeah.
Something okay, like from all the RFs that I've seen, especially the new one so far, I don't hear this sense of accomplishment that they have achieved so far. But what made you feel this sense of like proud, like you're proud to be a RF or RH? What made you feel this?
Being able to be affiliated with, with so many cohorts of our residents, I think that is something that I feel I'm most proud about. I feel that being able to be part of their journey is is a dream. Is something that that money can't buy. Yeah, and connecting to what that we were talking about just now, yesterday at Czech, and behind me, that there were residents who asked me, say, "Oh, can you stay for another 2 more years and graduate with me?" I was like,
somebody actually said that.
"Oh man!"
Somebody actually said that. Oh my god! Wait, who was it? Who was it?
Well, not say names. Yeah. But it was really sweet. It was really sweet. It's something that.
That makes you
Yeah. It's like,
Shout out to the person who said that to Prof Darren. You actually made his day yesterday.
Yeah. What a great feature. But like that sounds like really great, man. Like, don't you agree? Wouldn't you like find a job that you're in love with, you're passionate about? Like that's like your dream job. Man.
That's why I'm having a hard time finding a job. Nothing interesting.
Oh well. But anyway, Prof Darren, since you like your job so much, but like I'm sure there are ups and downs. So like maybe would you like to share about what was your greatest challenge of being an RF? Like especially like since you are like in the social portfolio, and maybe like in general being an RF. Like you mentioned before that like people who may not know like what it really takes to be an RF, but maybe you can share more about what do you think is the greatest challenges.
Greatest challenges. My greatest challenges is not being able to attend all the events that I've loved to be at. I think that would be the biggest challenge. Well, it'll be best, it'll be most ideal if being an RF, but certainly with a much broader scope of work, to be a full-time job. We're being able to, I mean, as a young faculty member back then, I was an assistant professor, and the first 6 years is extremely crucial because
yes, correct.
it's either you make it or you break, and you have to leave the university. So in the evenings whereby we have so many events, it's either that I'm teaching or that I'm in meetings, official meetings, be whether with the university colleagues or with external collaborators, rushing deadlines, really late notices of work needed to be done, like something that has to be done, that has to be submitted today, and they tell you that you have to finish this by today. So it's like
It's
doing
the
on the spot.
crunch. It's the crunch time that you
Yeah,
have.
yeah. So the crunch time, and to be honest, is that it was it was all of perhaps some of these tough times whereby that I didn't have the chance to attend as many events. It's like, yeah, and to date, and I believe that this is also the same for many of the other or the resident fellows, be it from uh, in our hall or in other halls, that they're having to juggle all of this plus family is indeed perhaps our greatest challenge being an RF. Where I believe that every RF, basically we come in, we don't get paid to be an RF, but why are there, people who wish to be in this role is because they are passionate about serving students, about interacting with students, and not being able to fully spend as much time as possible with students is certainly something heartbreaking for many of us. I think also same for same for Master Stella, whereby she has many classes in the evening. Certainly those are kind of that she would have felt the same as well as me, that we would have loved to spend as much time and more time and even more time. We we all feel that coming to the university to study for a degree is is the primary objectives, is the perhaps to many parents or students, this is perhaps the only objectives of coming to the university. But if there is a chance to actually to speak to parents as well as to students who are coming into university, is to tell them that there is another side to the university, and that is coming to hall and to experience communal living, to be able to to do what you like, to be able to learn new talents, new skills, being able to step up, to guide the youngest, the residents. All of these are skills that any workshops are unable to offer. Going for lectures, taking exams would not be able to teach you all of this, and these are all experiences that will bring you very, very far. These days, employers are not only looking at grades, in fact, that grades are now being secondary, while the attitude, while the can do, while the leadership are those trails whereby that employers would love to have their employees, their staff
Employees
to
that
possess.
actually possess the capabilities to lead people.
Certainly. Yeah. So so my advice is perhaps to the to students who are coming into universities, that you must experience at least 1 year, or the very least one semester of hall life. If you after one semester you feel that, this is something that you perhaps is not aligned with your philosophy, with what that you want to, that you hope for, to have in a university, that's fine. But please do take the opportunity, the only opportunity perhaps, to actually to stay in campus and to see another side of university. And the university isn't just simply about coming for classes, rushing assignments, deadlines, and then finally studying for the for exams. It is not that boring. There is more life to it, and there's so much more life that to me myself, after coming into hall, that I realized, wow, fantastic.
If it were that boring, Raffles would be called an RC already. I agree.
Then I probably won't be here anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally agree with what Prof Darren says. So for all those year ones, year twos who are having problems in staying, right? Your parents don't let you, right? I think just send this podcast over to them. Immediately, you help us increase our view count, and they also have a good reason to hear from
Yeah.
an actual professor who stayed for 8 years.
8 years.
8 years, is that not something?
The link is just below, just like copy. Yes.
Yeah, but you see, like during these 8 years, you talk about all the good parts, about what you learn, the leaderships and everything, right? And then as a professor, you have to juggle between your career, family, then after as your duties as an RF, right? So what gave you the biggest headache? Like gave you a migraine level kind of headache dealing with
Migraine.
yeah, don't need to be
well, not
migraine
so
level
much,
lah.
not so much that I've experienced before in hall, where I haven't really experienced anything really headache, something which is troubling me in hall. Perhaps something which I worry, or something which is which I am very concerned, were the times whereby when our residents are in crisis, or having some of the emergency, and I had to rush over to get our residents safe, and
From a crisis?
yeah, from a crisis. And that is really very draining. That's really very draining. Draining is not because of so much work. In fact, that those work are not considered as work to me. It is something that that without any conditions, that I would love to do. But but what is draining was because you care so much for the resident, for the students, and you are really, really, so that's the part which was felt was draining, and but the sense of satisfaction after this resident has actually recovered, has actually brightened up, is something that that money can't buy. Something really, really satisfying, that you feel that kind of like 不是白活的。
I think I know what you're talking about. You told me this story before, right? Back when I was still a blockhead.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Wow, actually, when you told me that story, it was quite scary.
True.
Just listening to it. From the
Yeah.
bystander.
But from some of these incidents also make me realize that every single of us has our rock bottom down time, whereby and being able to feel that that nobody is perfect, nobody is immune, to any situations, even perhaps the strongest person, even somebody whereby you perceive that has a very strong-minded, also have their downside, have their vulnerable times, making me feel that we are all humans, and
Very cliche kind of sentence, but it's true, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But do you still keep in contact with this student?
Yeah.
You still keep in contact with her until today?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's quite
Like,
interesting.
yeah, that's
True.
the amount of like passion and concern you have for like the residents of RH, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But actually living among the students, like you're literally just living in block 5
Yeah.
among the students, so like it's like a place where you sort of like work, especially like engine just like a few minutes walk away, you're literally living in NUS, the place where you work. What do you think about like work-life balance, and like how do you maybe juggle it? Do you find it a challenge, or like what do you do to maintain it?
In fact, that yes, certainly. I mean, there is work. That I have to do for my day as my day job, and juggling with hall. Well, I wouldn't say that hall matters is a work. In fact, it is also a learning point for me. You know, by discussing, by interacting with students, with residents, chit chatting, going for a jog with them, playing badminton with them, that actually, kind of relaxes my mind, and being able to discuss and to review proposals of events, being able to see, wow, okay, oh, this idea is great. Wow, okay, and also being able to exchange ideas, and and also being able to share some of these events, ideas with fellow GCRC, as well as the SLC, getting their comments, their feedback are things that I feel that I've learned. Where I would take this 8 years, not really a contribution from me, but is 8 years of learning. Wow, I mean, and till to date, I'm still learning, from the different groups, different cohorts of residents, from different experiences. Sometimes for the same matter, for the same issue, when you come back after a couple of years later to look at the same matter, you look from it, you look at a different perspective, and you were like, wow, it's like
It sounds like
reading
a very, very long journey. Then
yeah,
you see from like at the
true,
very end
true,
of the day, like wow, like how far you come right from a
true,
distance.
yes, and it's like reading a book. The first time when you read it, and perhaps the second time when you read it, is very different. So I do feel that this is a learning journey, and and I feel that I'm the student, and and the residents are my teachers, are my lecturers. That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
So when it comes to when you were talking about like how it means to juggle between your work and everything, right? No, I'm actually a bit curious because when you said that you were a professor more specialized towards earthquake engineering, right?
Mhm.
What was your major back in your university level, your degree?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. So I'm a civil engineering by training.
uh-huh.
Um. Well, this has been, well, not sure whether it is, whether this aligns with your question. Yeah. But just take this chance to share about my childhood dream.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, which was to, you know, to contribute, to serve the underprivileged communities affected by natural disasters.
Oh, really? By
Yes,
natural disasters in particular? Oh.
yes. Yeah. In fact, I was being off. I mean, back then when I was choosing the courses, I got my first choice, and it was on real estate. So it's more of like management. But I decided that to switch the course over uh, to civil engineering. Um, Firstly, is because perhaps that is something which I'm able to be able to serve more readily to communities. Secondly, is a very kind of a foolish dream of mine to build my own house, knowing how to build house, and okay, so I can build my own house.
Then you're
But
in the wrong major. It should be architecture then. It's very different.
um, yeah, and yeah, I think that civil engineers and architects, they serve different roles, different purpose, in the development of a building. The architects will look at how the building, the flow, of the occupants, how it looks like from the outside, from the inside, and then for engineers, civil engineers, we design the structure itself. So I thought, so I was a bit more aligned to, what kind of material, how to actually to properly construct a house per se. Thinking about, in the middle of my house, then there's a big kind of fish tank, you know.
You
Oh,
really
sounds like you really are into interior
Interior
designing.
design.
Are you sure you're a major of civil engineering? You clearly have planned it wrongly somewhere, you know.
Maybe he just architecture or
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, but then after I stepped into civil engineering and I took the modules, and then yeah, it's something that I liked. So I haven't regretted taking civil engineering. And back then, part of the reason of me taking civil engineering was because it was also something whereby it is related to natural disasters. Perhaps, um, and hence therefore, um, at the back of my mind, after that this is something which is kind of like a void in my heart. So after graduations from uni, and then I went out to work as a civil engineer. Um, the pay was good. Yeah, the job, uh, the pay was good. The job was fulfilling, but there's this childhood dream that I wanted to fulfill, in a sense. So I decided to leave the company and then pursue research in natural disasters, in earthquakes. Yeah, and then being able to be involved in three um, earthquake missions um, in Sumatra, uh, the Padang earthquake, uh, the Great East Japan earthquake,
Oh,
as
you were
well
part of
as
all these
missions. Yeah,
missions.
yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. The team, the contingent that went down, and then the third one is the Ecuador earthquake.
Oh,
In
Wow.
South America. So um,
More of Asia's like biggest incidences also.
Asia biggest incidences. I mean, whenever that there's a team that that needs to go down, and then certainly that I will apply for it, see whether if I'm able to go. Yeah, because I think based on the recent news, that you can see that earthquake is still very devastating, very damaging. Be it whether which part of the world you are in, it can still, cause casualties. So yeah. So um, back then, my parents they asked me, why I want to study earthquakes. Singapore, there's no earthquakes, no jobs. Yeah, but this is an
Seeing as how
aspiration.
like your lifelong dream, like since you are a
Yeah,
child, come to fruition, such that you're actually dealing with real life natural incidences.
true, true.
You feel that really sense of accomplishment, like you come this far, it actually happens. It
Yeah,
really is something you achieve.
true. And that feeling is to understand, and to be able to perhaps to recommend, to advise, uh, uh, you know uh, um, how buildings, how should we approach earthquakes, um, is actually quite closely connected to the reason why I joined Raffles Hall, because again it's also serving. Yeah, but it's serving with joy, you see.
So it sounds like you really found the joy, the joyful part in becoming a professor.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that sense of accomplishment from both your own work along with your stay in Raffles Hall.
yeah.
It just really made this very worthwhile.
True, yeah.
So like how does it differ so much from like your education back in civil engineering to what working force is like? It's because like you are from, it was from civil engineering. Yes, your dream was to help out in natural disasters. But what made it connect together? What was that middle point that made you realize, oh, they're all interlinked together one another?
uh
Because from my perspective, I'm science a science student, so I cannot really see that connection.
ah okay. I think I had the luxury of being able to interact with the right people, who were involved in some of this work. Back then, when after my O levels, um, I started working at a construction site, not wearing a white cap but a yellow cap, together with with our foreigner, uh, I mean friends, we'll call it friends, because it was so, the bonding was so close with them. Going down the construction site, taking the chanko, and then digging, and then to install, sensors, taking measurements, going down to the MRT tunnels, walking through, from one station to another station or it's under construction, and that reality, before even going to the university, actually opens up my mind and say, oh, okay, what I'm studying does have a use to it, does have a, has an application to it, which, I will say that I'm very lucky. I mean, I can't, so when I go to a place of worship, most of, that perhaps, um, uh, most of us may be asking for, wishing for something, but for me, it's very difficult for me to ask for anything more than what I have right now.
You're contented with what you
Contented,
have.
yeah. So I go to a place of worship, I always say, thank you for taking care of me, for taking care of the people around me. I'm very grateful, and yeah,
That's really good to hear, man. But
not like, oh, that I hope that I can, strike Toto, or that, oh, that I have a, that my studies, my grades will be high, high cap, all this, or, or higher bonus, higher salary. No, it was that I feel that I couldn't ask for anything more. You see, I mean, being able um to do something which is aligned with my childhood dream, and then subsequently in this environment, in NUS, wow, being able to to be given this opportunity to come into Raffles Hall, wow, I mean,
Everything is it just fell into place.
yeah,
It
yes,
all made sense. It all gave you the joy that you never expected to achieve when you
yes,
started
yes.
working.
Yeah, it's the same thing as, back then when you were a block head, and we were discussing about, what, block events,
Wow.
ideas,
That
and
was
then
2 years ago.
and then thereafter, then you step up to be, to be JCRC, and I
Mm.
was so happy. I was like, wow, that that our block has a, somebody stacks up, to be JCRC. Yeah, so, all of these are words that perhaps, um, you wouldn't hear very much, but to many of the RFs, to many of or perhaps even your lecturers in future when you go out to work, and you're doing very well, it is that joy that they would feel, although that they don't say, but, um, they will be very, very happy. They'll be very, very happy. Yeah, it's the same thing as right now when I see my students graduate, when I see, our 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 residents, growing.
Mm.
Yeah, it's something that the feeling is hard to describe, but it's really, really pleasant. It's really, really nice, um, knowing that you were part of the journey. Yeah, so
Sounds like this
wow.
this will be the most. It feels like the most memorable thing that you took away from these 8 years is
yeah,
in
Wow.
residency as a RF.
true.
So now that like soon eventually you'll be like leaving RH. So like what would you
Why you actually crying? No man, it's not meant to tear you up.
No,
But
sorry,
it
go
sounds
ahead,
very
go ahead.
emotional. It really sounds like it really comes from the heart.
damn. But leaving RH, what do you would you like probably like miss the most?
Well, this is a question that that I'm trying not to think of.
Yeah, but like you said, all good things must come to an end.
yeah, must come to an end. Well, I know that, for sure that, when I step out of my role, um, that the that my life will have a huge vacuum. It's like, that I'm detached from my family. I mean, being like
Mm.
Raffles Hall being my family. Um, yeah, I'll miss the times whereby, I had so much of laughter, and joy with you know with the residents, being able to see, being able to attend events, to really see how happy are our residents, how much that they have grown, um, as well as how talented they are, and being able to be there to see, you know, because everyone are our children. You see, that we always say that, that all of our residents are our children, and being able to see our children, wow, so talented, and is and especially is that we have gone through our childhood when we were young before. There were things that we hope that we had the chance to do, or that we are able to do it as well, and being able to see the residents at that level, wow, it's like, thank you so much, you fulfilled my dream. That sort of feeling. um yeah, and yeah, so I guess that is something that I'll miss the most. Yeah, but as what they mentioned, to Hall Master Stella, as well as to Siu Ting, um, our hall manager, as well as to the other the resident fellow, is that, um, even if I were to move out of Raffles Hall, please don't forget me. Please, that I would love to continue to serve Raffles Hall, in another capacity. I personally, I always feel that, and this is something whereby you can testify with the past hallmaster, with the present hallmaster, is that, um, I always feel that I haven't done justice to these 8 years. Or, that I always feel that, that I could have done more, I could have done better, and that feeling is really very sour. It's like, oh, that that I wasn't being able um, to do what I expected myself to do, as an RF, for these 8 years. Yeah, and um, yeah, and I feel that I've shortchanged, in a sense.
Yeah, but I mean,
from that perspective.
I mean, okay, everybody has very high expectations of themselves, but if my words provide you a certain sense of comfort, right? From the 4 years that I've actually been here, you've really done a very good job like handling the social portfolio. So like I honestly, when I was back in as a blockhead, I honestly didn't regret becoming one, and it was just because, not just because back then I was Marcus and Ziheng, but also because you were in charge and you really helped along the way as it goes. And then when I was in JCRC, the presence of you being there and the words that you provided that supported us along the way, all of this is a culmination of all the 8 years that you've spent as an RF. No, it's I've never felt that one part of that year or even just a few months it will be a waste. It's all part and parcel of the journey that comes to an end.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not trying to make you cry or make you too emotional, lah. But it really comes as it is,
I'm sure every resident will know, so yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, but I would love to continue to contribute, because I feel that, they have shortchanged, and I should, continue to, to repay this gratitude of being able to be, part of this big family, and so I'll continue to, to be around.
Of course, there's no reason to not be around now.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean, I guess maybe not the RS, but Mr. Leong has known you for 8 years or so. You'll still be a part of the family.
True,
no matter what.
true.
Yeah. So okay, not trying to be bad, but that's a joke. But not just like your term coming to an end already. This podcast also has to come to an end soon as well. So maybe it's a bit of a final words on our podcast, not to the whole hall. Do you have maybe like some life advice or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave with our residents, our viewers for the radar?
Right. For those who have the chance to to come to hall, cherish this opportunity to live in hall. It is certainly definitely going to be a life-changing experience for you. You know, so please take this opportunity, cherish the this chance if you can, to stay in hall. Okay, you will see the university in a different light.
So, okay, thank you so much, Prof. Darren, for actually leaving behind that words of wisdom, because I will need it, like when I go out to the workforce, actually, because sooner or later, like your term, all students have to graduate also. So, hall is just part of the journey, part of the phase in university, but I'm honestly glad that all of us were part of it. It actually made the university term a lot more enjoyable rather than just going back after classes or going back after work, just doing your own stuff, being alone again. You have a community
Yes.
to go back to, friends and family to talk to. Yeah. So with that, our podcast has come to an end. So I'm Jasper,
And I'm Jolene.
and
I'm Darren.
okay, and we'll see you back on another episode of The
RHadar.
Radar.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yay! Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for there.
Hey, yeah, no
Is that
problem.
cut?